All right. Hello, ladies. Hello, Bree and Shelley. How are you two?
We're super good.
Super good.
You're good? Awesome.
Okay.
So you had some questions about, did you have any questions on anything about enzymes? We're going to chat a little bit about enzymes and enzyme health. Any questions or
I
thoughts?
really just want to learn a lot about how the product helps with gut health and stuff, because I have so many people that go onto my page that have issues with their gut. And so if you can just go from there, that would be wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, so the gut is a center of health. I've heard different stats, but about 74% of Americans have issues with gut health. And I think it's close to 65% of adults have issues with acid reflux or heartburn. So it's quite a bit of issues between, gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance, just heartburn, just those three alone, you get a lot of issues.
Right.
And so the whole thing with us is we've seen issues. We utilize a whole lot of whole plant nutrition, and we utilize a multi-enzyme that we have a lot of naturopathic doctors who've used everything from ox bile to pig pancreas enzymes, and I hear interesting stories. But one of the doctors I work with out of Oregon, she's been a naturopathic doctor for about 36 years. And she's tried every enzyme, and kind of if there's a touching something, it sounds like something's rubbing up against the microphone on your end. But anyway, whatever. I don't know what it was, but but long story short, she said that she's got eczema. She loves cheese, and she's not giving up her cheese habit for the sake of eczema. But she said after 36 years of trying dozens of different enzymes types, like a particular product that we're using actually is the first one to take her eczema away. Because about 80% of your immune system's tied to your gut health, because it's keeping all that rotten food in there, right? And I think I've heard things roughly about 3,000 types of bacteria, up to 3,000 types of different bacteria in your gut. And so your stomach has hydrochloric acid, which helps break down the proteins, but then the enzymes help break that down further and deliver the nutrients into your body. And so you get different types of arthritis or gout when undigested proteins come in and they get through your intestines. It actually will lock into your joints, create different forms of arthritis. So you're seeing a lot of issues with arthritis or joint pain caused from undigested proteins. So we've got a private invite only kind of page with different stuff where people have had arthritis where like their knuckles were really big and literally one guy said he could barely grip a golf club. And after 3 weeks on the enzymes, like he is a scout leader and his fingers were all bent up. I don't even know what the Eagle Scout sign is, but something like this. But he's saying how one hand he could finally do it. The other hand was all crooked. Like this finger was all crooked.
Yeah.
And then he's finally able to grip he was finally able to do a full fist just after being on the enzymes for a few weeks, because it was probably breaking down some of the proteins locked up in his joints. And so I'm still learning quite a bit. I just know that I'm just listening to a ton of testimonies. We've got professional athletes using some of these products. So you want to see how it works?
Absolutely. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, bring it.
I like to say the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
She's going to do a pudding demo for you. Yummy. You ever had one of these, Bree?
I mean, if we were closer, I would ask for it after the demonstration.
You might not want it after the demonstration.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The clause is, remember this, it's not going to come out like this. Okay?
All right.
So, all right. So,
this is like a scientific experiment.
I'm going to grab my trusty.
Yeah. Wow.
What? Oh.
And you had to go to a lot of trouble to get this pudding, from what I understand.
Yes, more than normal, but yes. So here's like a lot of stuff in lunch boxes that people are feeding their kids.
Right.
But basically, see that?
Oh yeah, just love
Yummy. All right, so I'm gonna utilize a plant enzyme for the sake of nutritional value and not doing a commercial. I'm not going to show you what it is. You have to ask Shelley if you want to know what it is. But here's just a traditional plant enzyme. I'm just going to put one in here so you can see. So I'm going to empty it to the pudding. So whatever. So I'm gonna just drop this sucker in there. All right. So here's just one of these enzymes. I just emptied the pill out in this pudding.
Okay.
I'm gonna stir the sucker and just mix it in real quick. So basically there's different types of enzymes and prebiotics and probiotics in here. If you ever look up like gut health or enzymes or different types of gut health, you'll find out that they're finding like probiotics will actually have an anti-anxiety and antidepressant effect. So a lot of Americans like to eat a lot of processed foods, and they're finding more links between diabetes, colon cancer, stuff among sugar-loving microbes and stuff in the gut. So it won't take long, but basically we've been doing the science, or at least the originators of the science have been working with top level professional athletes and doctors for years, talking about gut health, right? So you remember how it came in, right? So within just like 45 seconds, don't worry, it doesn't come out like that. It just,
well, if that does that for my gut.
So basically it just helps takes it helps take some pressure off of your intestines. Since 80% of your immune system's tied around your gut, if you eat a lot of cooked or processed foods, it's just harder for your body to digest.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're cooking the life out of it. Like when you cut an apple and leave it on the counter, what happens to it?
It's all brown.
It gets brown. It's alive. It's actually living food. If you leave a McDonald's cheeseburger on the counter for 9 years, it looks the same, right?
Exactly.
So, but that when you have living food, it's actually technically alive. So when you eat it, your body actually is helping. It has its own enzymes. So it's a lot easier for your body to digest. So when you have a lot of overcooked food and proteins and stuff like that, it's just harder for your body. So you're taxing your body's ability. And just like a lot of people may start with the ability to digest milk, then later as they get 13, 12, 13, 18, 20, it stops. So you have like a bank of enzymes. So there's one guy, a guy that I work with, his name's Sean. He was a Division I defensive back in college. And then he was a football coach at a Division I school, like in his early 30s. And he got where he could barely actually grip a football. That's how bad the pain was in his hands. And so he went to see all these specialists, and he had all these types of arthritis, took all these tests, went to a whole plant lady who specialized in formulating whole plant nutrition enzymes. And she's like, yeah, that's not what you have. He's like, well, I've been to this specialist in California and this specialist in Arizona. She's like, I don't care where you've been. That's not what's wrong with you. Put him on. He goes, well, what's wrong with me? She's like, you have an inability to digest your proteins appropriately. She put him on plant enzymes, and within 3 weeks, he was back to normal. And so they got married, and they're a really amazing couple. So she's formulated stuff for naturopathic doctors and doctors all over the world. She's actually the one who formulated this product. They've been doing gut health for almost 20 years. Wow. So working with top-level NFL, NBA athletes for top-level nutrition, and they're seeing a lot of stuff fixed just by fixing the gut, because most people aren't going to be a raw vegan anytime soon. So if you can just take the stress off all the cooked food that we're eating or processed foods by helping your body to digest, it takes the weight off your immune system, since 80% of it is tied around your gut. Right. So we're seeing a lot of crazy testimonies about A1C levels dropping. Of course, you can't say that, but we have a private invite-only page. Shelley, I invited you to that. So if you have anyone who has questions, you can just introduce them to it. Just have them just PM you, and then they can read people's testimonies. They have reports where they show their A1Cs dropping like 1 or 2 points in a few months, which is huge.
And you know what? That is a massive thing, because I work in cardiac, and A1C, the levels are going up extremely, like all ages. And that's the diabetes is going way up, which makes your cardiac, your heart, go way down. And so little enzymes like this that are life-changing for your body really, really make an effect long-term. And so if that's as simple as even you showing us that in the pudding, that's amazing. That's massive. Yeah. And that's pudding, not just your body.
Yeah. So you're talking about everything from arthritis, right? And everything from arthritis. to diabetes, some autoimmune issues, even stuff with autism. So we can't say it cures, prevents, whatever, but you can go on this Facebook page and you can actually listen to a testimony from someone who's like, hey, I had this issue for 12 years and I started taking this, and in 3 weeks.
Wow.
So they could tell you, I can't, but you know how, who runs the show, follow the money, you know, right?
Yeah.
So who's heard about CBD?
We have.
Do you know about CBD? They're starting to teach classes, I've heard, to nurses in hospitals. Are they doing that for you?
Not the department I'm in, but she kind of gave me the rundown of it, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard of like things like that, and so I want to know more about this.
All I know is it helps me sleep like crazy.
Yes, it helps me. It helps me sleep too.
Yeah.
So this is a organic whole flower fluid. It's not an oil. 99% of the products out there are oils, and a lot of them are not whole flower. Most of the healing compounds are in the flower, right? A lot of products are isolates. That means they isolated the CBD, but the plant has a whole bunch of terpenes and bioflavonoids and other parts that are healing other than CBD. It's got CBC, CBN, CBG, CBDA, THC, THCA, THCV. This is hemp-based, right? So we're here to get you healed and not high. The marijuana plant is in the same cannabis family, the hemp plant, just a different plant. It has 0.3% or less THC. But you want a little bit of THC to activate the full amount of the CBD, right? So your body can receive it. So when you have an isolate, they're not good. A lot of them are made in China, organic and non-organic grows like pesticides. So you don't want to be putting neurotoxins in your health stuff, right? And so this is a hemp-based. Hemp seed is probably the least medicinal part of the plant. Then the whole plant is like a lot of stems and leaves. This is whole flower. This is the most medicinal part. But here's a new patent that came out, was launched in March. It's probably the best product on the market. It's actually truly water compatible. So here's the water. What happens with oil when you put it on water?
It'll mix. Yeah.
Separates, right? Oil and water don't mix. So here's a truly hemp flower fluid. So if you see, you drop to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show it to you. But basically, there's like a little cloud. See at the bottom?
Yeah.
Just drop to the bottom. So swirl it around, and it is completely water soluble. So this is a new patent that's came out. We've had absolutely phenomenal testimonies, which by law we cannot tell you, but you can also go to this invite-only page, which Shelley can tell you about. You can read of people with seizures that are using it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people with sleep issues. I've got studies from Harvard where if you one of the people that needs test studies. My dad was a doctor. I was pre-med. We've got studies from Harvard that show they've studied it. Their European Journal of Pain on inflammation and arthritis, knowing that it works on insomnia, sleep apnea, not sleep apnea, but insomnia, both falling asleep and staying asleep. Some people can fall asleep, but they don't stay asleep, right? Some people just can't fall asleep. And then for chronic pain, both inflammatory and neuropathic pain, which are two of the most difficult types of pain to treat for physicians, right? Is inflammatory and neuropathic pain. So among that, they're using it. We've got people who've had brain tumors that get tremors and spasms. And again, you have to go on the page to hear what it does for those people, because I technically can't tell you what it does. But there's lots of proof.
You're having a lot of people that have cancer.
Absolutely.
Because I have so many people that are battling cancer on this page, yeah.
I've got a friend, she's got a brain tumor, which I've introduced you to, right? And will get pain and muscle spasms for like 8 or 10 hours. And she literally, she'll get them in waves. But she took this product and, she basically said, hey, I haven't had those for like 10 hours after I took it, which was a pretty amazing thing. So, we've got everything from helping diabetes, because they call the endocannabinoid system the master regulator. So, when they made it illegal to study CBD in this non-psychoactive plant that back in 1937 was affecting the cotton industry and the paper industry, because you can grow like the same amount of, it takes 4 acres of trees in a year to produce the same amount of paper as an acre of hemp. Same thing with like,
wow.
and produce, they remember they make hemp rope and hemp clothing and stuff like that.
Right.
It's non-psychoactive, right? It's not going to make anybody high. You have to smoke a blunt the size of a telephone pole to remotely have enough THC, because it's like 0.3% versus 15 to 20%. It's a 60-fold difference, right?
Right.
And so it's like kombucha versus tequila. Very, very big.
Kombucha, 100%.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's your gut.
Yeah.
So.
And what? I'm sorry?
Because it helps your gut. It's the probiotics. Same thing as
You
what this is doing.
tequila or
right.
kombucha.
I said kombucha.
Yeah.
I said kombucha.
Yes. So what it does, so basically what this does is they discovered in 1992 a system called the endocannabinoid system. Say that 3 times fast, but essentially you've got a respiratory system, a digestive system, an immune system, or vascular system. You've got all these systems in your body, and your body isn't segregated. Like, it all works together, right? And so what happens when you have a major problem with one of the systems, Bree?
It affects the rest of your systems.
Absolutely. So when you're deficient, or since 80% of disease roughly is the root of malnutrition, is the root of most disease, is what they're believing these days.
Right.
When you're not communicating in your body for healing, like if you get a flat tire on the highway and your cell phone's dead and you're trying to call for help probably not going to come anytime soon, right?
Right.
So if you're short, your body makes certain kind of cannabinoids already. Like there's one in mother's breast milk that signal the baby to root that your body makes, the woman's. And also your women's bodies also make a cannabinoid that guides the egg to the uterus, just so you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and it was kind of cool. They call this the master regulator in the body, because when you look at these healing wheels or information, if I can share here, let me share my screen, about CBD, right? You'll see inflammation, arthritis, pain, insomnia. Can y'all see this pretty well?
Yeah, actually.
France, cancer, sleep apnea, AIDS, glaucoma, hypertension, fatigue. This is why you want a whole flower extract instead of an isolate, or seeds and stems, or hemp seed, or whatever, or an oil, because with this, instead of 6 to 10% with an oil as the average absorption, everything says 4 to 20, but 6 to 10 is a good average. In several years of studies, we had 92% absorption with this product, because it's just fluid, and it's all the flower fluid. It's organic. Okay, so you want the whole flower, because with inflammation, so you see it's here, the CBC, CBD, CBDA, CBG, CBN, THC, and TCA. Like right, your body, when you eat an orange, you can have like vitamin C made in the lab with genetically modified corn syrup and hydrochloric acid, or you can eat an orange. Like, your body was made for whole plants, not for chemicals, right? So our whole thing is create whole plant nutrition that's fresh squeezed, and then your body, it's amazing when you give it what it needs to fix itself, right? But when you isolate something in a lab and someone takes it because it's cheap, it's not necessarily going to work very well, right? And so these are the kind of things that we want to help people with, and actually help regulate the endocannabinoid system. They call it the master regulator, because it is regulating between your nervous system, your hormone system, and your immune system. So that's why they see it helping with so many issues. And when you're deficient, or you have malnutrition, you get a lot of other issues, right?
Wow.
That's why there's so many things on here that it helps with. So, but yeah. So you saw it's completely water soluble.
Yeah.
It tastes just like the plant smells, just so you know. But if you don't like the way, just put it in water if you don't like the way it smells. So.
I can smell it. It's really gonna totally different. Okay,
Sorry.
never mind.
Any questions? Does that help you?
Yeah,
No,
it's
it does,
amazing.
actually.
That's really educational. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, it affects every part of the body, like you said, and that's why it's life-changing, because when you get
Yes.
one that affects, like you said, all systems, one system affects the whole thing, and so that's why one enzyme can change your whole chemical enzymes in your body. So
Yeah.
it's true.
Come on, girl.
Yeah, preach
Preach
it.
it.
It's
You're the
true.
nurse. You're the nurse. You got the degree, so.
It's like one little thing in your body, or in your brain, or in your heart, anything, or your stomach affects the rest of it.
Well, all I know too is for
Yeah.
my sleeping, it was crazy because
Cool.
I've done Benadryl, melatonin, you name it. I've
Yeah.
tried it. I don't have a hard time falling asleep, but staying asleep is my biggest issue. And with this, it's like I stay asleep and I sleep good. And then I don't wake up the next day feeling like hungover from having
Exactly.
Benadryl or something.
Yeah.
I just feel refreshed.
Because she's affecting the root of
Mhm.
the enzymes, not
Mhm.
just.
Yeah, I mean, it sold me first day.
Yeah, we're seeing so many amazing testimonies. Like my dad, like it helps me with my sleep, and I sleep pretty well. But both my dad, he's a retired physician, veterinarian, top of his class. Of course, he didn't listen to me for 3 months when I tried to tell him. He had to end up having a knee replacement, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, you should try CBD." So after 3 months later, after 3 of his friends said, "Oh, I got off ibuprofen because I tried CBD, it's working better," and so he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, I want to try that product." I was like, "Okay." And then sent him some. He's like, "Hey, I slept through the night. I had shoulder pain. My pain went away." I've had friends saying, "Hey, they slept through the night for the first time in a year and a half."
Oh,
And
yeah,
when
mine's been a
people
lot
with
longer
neck
than
pain. I'm sorry.
that. No, I said it's been a lot longer for me than that. So it was a true miracle for me.
Yeah. I've had the same thing. So like I'm super appreciative of it. Because before, I was grew up in a church. And that's my dream board. It's got like orphanages and mission stuff up there. But
I love that.
that's just my take on life. But yeah, so I had vilified it. I'd heard, in college, I experimented with the other versions of the cannabis plant, and it wasn't my thing. I didn't like my head being in a cloud. I saw too many Cheech and Chong movies, I guess. And I was like, I don't want to be like that. So
I was like, I know exactly where he's going.
and so, but
Like, continue.
so I was like, I should, if it's popular, I'll just do the research, right? Because I was pre-med. So I was like, all right, I'll do the research. And it actually worked. I was like, oh, that's cool. You can actually get healed and not high. Like there's
Right.
actually crazy healing benefits. So
Lifelong healing, the momentary high.
I
off
think
of
Jesus
anything.
made all kinds of good stuff we need to tap
Yeah,
into.
it's true.
yes, God made the plant. If you don't smoke it, do you know that you have to heat it or cook it to actually make marijuana even psychoactive? You can chew on marijuana buds. It has to be heated. It's called decarboxylation. And then you have to heat it. It goes from a cis molecule to a trans molecule. But if you don't heat it, it's extremely medicinal and it won't actually get you high at all. So a lot of people don't know that, just so.
And this is not heated.
This is not heating and no chemicals are used in the extraction process. So, and it's patented. So you're going to find a lot of fake stuff saying they're water compatible or whatever, but most of it's lies. If you just look at the label, it's going to say oil on it. And if it says oil on it, last time I checked, oil and water don't mix. So if you have any questions, if someone has questions, they can always reach out to me. Just do a 3-way chat or something. So.
Well, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yeah, it was fun.
People can ask questions on this too. Once they see it, they can ask you, right?
Yeah.
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 There you go.
Yeah. Shelley's got my info. And then
I got his info.
Cool. And ladies, I appreciate your audience, and it was nice meeting you, Bree and Shelley, and actually in person. So, or virtual person.
Yeah, virtual person.
Two-dimensional person. So,
come up to Reading.
We'll give a shout out to D-Rage.
All right.
Wherever you are, Daniel, we love you. Sexy thing. All right. Well, y'all have fun, and
we will. We've been laughing it up all night. So trying to compose myself.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a wonderful night. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Nice
You
to
ladies
meet
have fun. Take care. See you guys on Prayers and Encouragement.
All right.
Share prayer. So I'm on there. So we're always looking and praying for prayer posts and all that.
That's right.
So we got your backs. All right. Take care, ladies. Have a good night.
Bye bye.
All right.